Hi everybody, it's Diane Nalini from Ukulele for Jazz Singers. Welcome back to this short series on Bossa Nova comping. In the last video, I talked a little bit about some forms of active listening that you can use to really start drilling deep into some recordings of classic Bossa Nova songs so that you really start to internalize and listen for the melody, the harmony, the rhythm, and the different percussive effects that you're hearing and the comping patterns that you're hearing in the guitar. Today I want to talk a little bit about some technique that you need to sort of get under your fingers before we actually start about talking about playing chords in a Bossa Nova. So what we need to do now is, if you're the kind of player who's been accustomed to strumming, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be plucking the strings with all four of our fingers. Why do we want to do this? Let me play you the first few bars of Girl From Ipanema, and I will do it in the standard key of F. Olha que coisa mais linda, mais cheia de graça, ela menina que vê que passa, doce balanço, caminho do mar. Moça do corpo dourado do sol de Ipanema, o céu balançado é mais que poema, que a coisa mais linda que eu já vi passar. And I was not playing strictly like any particular Bossa Nova pattern. Again, I'm approximating the way that I would comp with a bassist in tow. And in jazz, we tend to approximate Bossa Nova comping patterns without being like militaristic about always playing the exact same pattern. If I were playing a guitar and I had to cover the bass with my thumb alternating between the root and the fifth, I would probably be a lot more kind of regular in my pattern because I would be the only thing happening in the song. What I would like to focus on right now, though, is the plucking that we need to do with our right hand in order to achieve this more plucked sound here. And so what we do is we put our thumb over the G string, and we place our thumb as if we were about to pluck downwards with it. Then we put our index finger kind of in the opposite direction, in the direction that your fingers naturally face. You are going to place your index finger just below the C string so that you can pluck upwards with it. Your middle finger is going to be just below the E string so you can pluck upwards with it. And your ring finger is going to be just below the A string, and again, so that you can pluck upwards with it. So the action that we're achieving is that the bottom three fingers are plucking not straight up towards our face, so you're not making a pinching motion because you don't want your thumb and these other three fingers to knock into each other. You're kind of making this kind of motion, or I'll do it so that you can see it relative to the instrument, where the thumb is going a little bit past these other fingers and they're not hitting each other, but it's like you're trying to pick something up gently, or maybe you're kind of like scratching the neck of a pet cat or a pet dog or something. It's that kind of gentle movement that you're making, like this. Now notice I'm not leaping off of the fingerboard like this, and I'm not jumping. Even though the ukulele is named for jumping flea in Hawaiian, we don't actually want to be a jumping flea off of the fretboard right now. We want our hand to sort of stay as neutral as possible and not move around. And we're just kind of doing this with our So practice that. Maybe play a chord that you like the sound of. Maybe a C major 7. Make sure that you can hear each string. practice that a little bit, and it'll take a while. It's going to feel a little bit odd at first. So don't feel bad about that if you do get that feeling. Just keep doing this. And the other important thing is that as soon as you're done with the open strings, with the sound of that chord, you're going to bring your fingers back down. And that's going to mute the strings. And that's a very helpful thing. You can also be muting if you're playing closed chord positions. You can also mute the chord by lifting that off. So I was playing an F6-9 here. I could also play an F6 as the first chord for Girl From Ipanema. And I can, if I play open strings, I can stop as I just stop pressing on the strings. I don't have to lift my fingers off of the fretboard. If I just stop pressing on the strings, it will mute that. So that's one effective way of muting. But the other way of doing it so that even if you're playing open strings like this C7, C major 7, and as I bring my fingers down onto the strings, if I want to, I can make a slightly slight tapping noise as my fingers come back down to the strings, and some people use that for effect. It's like a percussive effect. You'll notice when I'm plucking, I'm actually plucking more over the sound hole than I am over the fingerboard, and that's because I want to avoid hitting the fingerboard with my nails. So when I'm playing this, when I'm comping in this style, I tend to do it away from the fretboard and over the sound hole. But each ukulele is designed a bit differently, and your sound hole may be offset or whatever. So find a place that makes sense for you to do it. And even if you do have to do it over the fretboard, you can still do it. You just have to be careful not to knock your fingers into the fretboard, because that will produce a percussive sound which you may not want, and it may not happen at the right beat if you're doing it accidentally. So practice that plucking action, and make sure that you're not popping off of the fingerboard and that you're just kind of doing it as gently as possible. You can also mute the strings if you want to practice this and not bother anybody, or put a Kleenex or something under the strings to mute the strings. But that action is going to serve you well when it comes time to playing Bossa Nova. Okay, in the next video we're going to actually start playing a few chords using this technique. See you soon. Bye.
Approche, je ne te ferai pas de mal. Offre-moi ta main, je t'emmènerai là où les cauchemars s'effacent dans la nuit, loin de cette vie noyée sans cesse par la pluie.